Hello, I'm Eva Medilek, and I'm here to share how you can create inclusive environments by developing communication skills to overcome barriers of assumption. As we seek to create inclusivity in our communities, we need to advocate for the listening to the voices, the stories, and the experiences of people on the margins of society. But how can we confront bypassing biases and racism when we see it? Confronting subconscious bias requires you to approach things in an inclusive way, and most people have not been taught how to do that. And it's not the job of minoritized folks and marginalized communities to educate others about their blind spots and privilege. It adds to the already difficult weight of emotional labor that they experience in the day-to-day living of their lives. There are techniques that we can adopt that'll make these confrontations and conversations less painful and more productive for everyone. And it starts by simply listening. Creating inclusive environments starts with broadening your listening capacity. Listening is a key practice in creating connections and breaking down racial and cultural barriers. Pain, fear, and distrust dissipate when someone knows that they have been heard and understood. And the more skilled you become at listening, the better you are able to build relationships and create safe, inclusive environments. Listening has the ability to break down racial and cultural barriers. However, it's one of the toughest skills to master because it demands being fully present. It demands that we put aside our fears, our anticipation, our prepared responses, and our reactionary defenses. We must put aside our assumptions of what we think we know or understand and be open to a curiosity and gain additional information and deeper understanding. It's important to note that most people make bias statements at an unconscious level. But when it happens, it's also important to know the kind of culture that you're dealing with. The key is to describe the bias without attacking the person. For example, as an educated Black woman myself, I often have people comment that I'm so articulate. And on the surface, sounds like a compliment, right? One incident I recall was back when I was pregnant with my first child and I ended up in the hospital. And I remember hearing the doctors discussing my condition behind that curtain. And we all know how those thin curtains create some conversations that are private, right? But what I heard was they described me as a 26-year-old intelligent Black woman. Now that was over 36 years ago. And I still remember thinking, well, would the other choice be a 26-year-old ignorant Black woman? Like, I didn't call it out then, but here's how I would approach that today. I would say something like, I know you mean articulate as a compliment, but when you say that statement to or about a person of color, there's an assumption that comes with that. And may I share that with you? Now I have the opportunity and the permission to approach this from a learning perspective and not with an intent to shame someone who might be open to listen and learn. It's important to note that this is also not an opportunity to lecture people. When we shy away from our own feelings, we tend to only want to stick with the facts. And facts don't have much power in swaying people into thinking they are wrong. Humans don't make decisions that way in charged situations. We make gut responses. And the idea here is to see the biased statements as an opportunity to build a bridge rather than destroy one. So what I'd like to do now is share with you a framework of influential listening with you. And this framework serves to deepen understanding while also creating that feeling of being heard and acknowledged without judgment or criticism. I call it the LAPI framework, and the first L is listening. It's a key practice in building relationships across differences. Listening to each other creates connection and breaks down racial and cultural barriers, because culture guides how we use language, how we view appropriateness and hold our worldview. And listening to each other helps us become more familiar with the perspective of others compared to our own. The A is acknowledge. Listen with effective acknowledgement will help you understand another person's message, even if what they're sharing is outside of your own life or worldview. Acknowledgement allows another person to feel seen, understood, and valued. And our natural instinct when we listen is to judge or editorialize or analyze or offer solutions rather than simply acknowledging what's been said. So we acknowledge by paraphrasing. The goal of paraphrasing is to communicate your understanding of what the speaker is saying. And it confirms that what that speaker was trying to say was received accurately. It acknowledges both the content and the emotion from the speaker's perspective. But reflecting back or paraphrasing is not telling another person that you understand, because you don't. We each experience life differently, and saying that you understand may cut off that other person from further sharing with you. It's also not about agreeing or disagreeing. It's just about letting the person know that you're listening and not judging. So what happens, you might be thinking, when the conversation does become uncomfortable or emotional, or you believe that people are wrong in what they're saying, or what they're saying may seem unfair or insulting? Challenge yourself to get curious instead of furious. Your only job here is to accurately understand what that person is telling you. So how do you slow things down, keep an open mind, seek understanding, and practice the art of bridge building when the conversations become charged and uncomfortable? Well, first, be aware of your barriers of assumption. Now, these assumptions, especially those related to race and gender and culture, can present a barrier to clear, empathetic, and non-judgmental communication. So awareness of your own racial and cultural assumptions will equip you to notice when you have confused your assumptions with the facts. So regardless of if you are the target of microaggressions or guilty of microaggressions or a witness to microaggressions, the work is the same. You must increase understanding to decrease defensiveness and open the channels of communication to invite, now we're at the I, inquiry. Here's a quote I want to read to you. Questions open the door to dialogue and discovery. They are an invitation to creativity and breakthrough thinking. Questions can lead to movement and action on key issues by generating creative insights, and they can ignite change. And that's from the Art of Powerful Questions. So one would wonder that if asking good questions is so critical to discovery, why we don't spend more time and effort asking them. Well, now that our systemic issues are at the forefront and diverse perspectives are required now more than ever for sustainable solutions, the need to ask deeper questions that challenge the status quo assumptions is critical in fostering a more inclusive and positive future. See, we use questions to deepen understanding, but not just any random question. We ask powerful questions. Powerful questions foster thinking, exploration, forward movement, collaboration, creativity, and solutions. So ask open-ended questions as opposed to closed-ended questions that might shut a conversation down. Now, a general rule for open-ended questions would be what or how type questions. And this creates space for forward movement, solutions, and collaborations. A close-ended question is anything that can be answered with a yes or a no. So developing the skill of using powerful questions, it's not easy. So what I've done is I've compiled a list of powerful questions from the Art of Powerful Questions for you to use as a guide. So just go to this link, evamedilek.com/powerful questions, or scan the QR code and you can download it for free yourselves. And I want to leave you with this quote as I come to the end. So make sure you got that on your phone, all right? Great. You can tell whether a man is clever by his answers, but you can tell whether a man is wise by his questions. And that's from Naguib Mahfouz. I'm not sure if I'm doing that right, if pronouncing it right. Anyway, Thank you for your time. Please follow me on Instagram at Eva Medilek, Executive Coach, or you can reach out to me personally through my website or my email. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.